This time on FTB Skies, we build a plastic processing plant, skip through a magical garden, and strike oil on an island that didn't even exist last week.
But that's impossible!
And between episodes, I've been scheming and building. Scheming and building. On the building side, I've just added a little bit of storage here inside our warehouse, and outside I've added a wonderful little launch pad area so we can launch all of our rockets from here, and I've just embedded the building a little bit better into the landscapes. We've sorted out the exterior, we've planted some trees around the back and sides, and it's just generally looking a lot nicer. On the scheming side, I've built a big old board and I've worked out what we need to do to get oil, which we're going to need for rocket fuel if we're ever going to get to the moon. And let me tell you, it's not a short journey. But don't panic, I'm not going to go through all of it with you here. In fact, I think let's do this step by step. And step one is this big old chain here, which is to get plastic. And to get plastic, we're going to need to build ourselves some kind of a plastic processing plant, and that's what this big old area here is. Well, it's about 3 hours later, and we built this thing 3 times, but it is actually now working. And I was just editing the footage for it, and basically it was just really, really boring. And I don't want to bore you.
Oh, thank God.
So instead of going into detail about all the different components over here and what we're doing, we're going to do a very quick overview. Let's see if we can do this in 10 seconds. So over here, we're using fluid extractors to get liquid latex from these logs, and we've got block placers that replace the logs when they die. All the liquid latex gets pulled into this tank over here. The liquid latex from the tank then gets pumped into the latex processing unit, and we get these tiny rubber balls. The tiny rubber balls then get sent into the mechanical press and turned into dry rubber, which then gets spat out and cooked by the lava. And this gives us plastic. And that explanation felt much more precise than whatever was going on in my previous edit. But it's basically a 4-step process, and now we have all the plastic we need. And I've also added a dissolution chamber, which is also dragging some latex out of this area here. And that's because we needed that to add speed upgrades, because this thing was actually very, very slow. So each one has a tier 2 speed add-on, and, well, it's making it much, much quicker, I'll tell you that much. So it might look a bit messy, I'll probably tidy it up at some point, but for now, we're generating plastic, and that is step 1 done. So I can remove all these signs and feel really good about myself. Step 2 is to use the dissolution chamber to make a simple machine frame, and as I say, we do have the dissolution chamber already set up over here, so we should be able to get simple machine frames easy enough. Yep, we have everything we need for this recipe, although we are going to need to go cook up some netherrack. We don't have nether bricks, but we can easily make some. Let's just give this a moment. So I'm just going to stand here and use up these resources, make 30 or so of these. Actually, I wonder, can I feed items into the hopper? Will this work? I mean, it's slower than me putting them in there, but it puts the recipe in. Excellent. Well, we'll just let that do its thing then. So we're making simple machine frames. That was a nice and quick one. So step 3 is to get netherite scraps, which we need to get from crushed netherrack. The problem is we can only actually get these scraps if we put them through an amethyst mesh, which means we need a mana steel mesh, which means it's time to make ourselves a fancy garden. We need to jump into Botania because we need to get mana steel, and the only way to do it really is to chuck iron ingots into a mana pool. So we need to create some mana. But when between episode Beardy was planning, he knew this was coming, and look at this, we actually have a small new island that I've built over here, round behind at the back of our starter island. And this, I think, is where we're going to put our lovely magical garden. So let's quickly head back to storage, because there's a few things we're going to need to make to get this started. So the first thing I'm going to need is some floral fertilizers. So we just need 4 stacks of dye and a stack of bone meal. And look at that, we've got a whole bunch of the stuff. And we're just going to spam our new island with this stuff. We're going to get loads and loads of these mystical flowers. And that should enable us to get started with Botania. So what are we getting? Okay, so we can literally just keep spamming. Look at this. Loads of the things. And thankfully we can vein mine these. Look at this. All the flowers. I'm going to do that a few times just to stock up. And now we have a buttload of flowers. I should probably find somewhere to store these things. I think we'll just dump them in some drawers for now. This will do fine. And I believe we can craft these down into petals. Yes, that's what we want, because we need to make ourselves a pedestal. It's not a pedestal. It's a petal apothecary. That's what we need. And I guess we'll just chuck this down over here for now. What does this do? Okay, so what we can do is we can mix petals in this thing, and that will create other flowers for us, which we will then use to make mana. But I need to feed water into this thing first, so I guess it's time to make another kitchen sink. I think what we'll do is just bury this underground and do that, and hopefully that's put water in it. I don't really know how it works. Doesn't look like it's put any water in it. Am I gonna have to... Oh man, I'm gonna have to do it manually. All is not lost. We can at least, I guess, put the kitchen sink down there so we've got easy access to infinite water. And then we need to start mixing petals. I don't know if there's any sort of specific recipes. Should we just try a couple? So if we chuck in a couple of those and a couple of those, is that going to do something? Looks like it's doing something. So the quest book's telling me I should actually be making an endo flame, which is one of those, and 2 of those. And are we getting some different colors now? And, oh, I need to add, what's that? What's that little symbol there? Is that seeds? I need to add seeds of some kind. That would be why the quest gave me seeds. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, whoa! Okay, that was instant. But now we have an endo flame. Excellent. What does that do? You see, I have done Botania before, but it was about 2 years ago, and I can't really remember much of anything. So I think I've got the basics all figured out. We're getting ourselves some mana steel. It's okay. It's fairly basic, I guess. We have these things called pure daisies, and if we put logs around them like this, we can get ourselves living wood, which is then used to make other stuff. We've only used it to make a wand so far, though. But if we do that with stone, we get living stone, and then we can make mana pools. And these flowers here are burning up these logs, and that's creating mana into this mana spreader, which then shoots at the mana pool. And then we can just drop iron ingots in here and get mana steel, which is great, although it's quite slow. How many of these things do we need? Just before we look at that, though, this is our Botania questline. We've made it to here. I don't think we actually need to do these things just yet, so we're probably going to ignore those for now. As long as we can get mana steel, I'm happy. Although we'll probably be back over here in future to do some other stuff, and we need to make it look nice, of course, as well. Oh, there we go. The wood just turned. Look at that. More living wood that I don't really know what it does. Anyway, we're getting distracted. We need to make mana steel meshes. So that's a nice, easy recipe. We don't need much mana steel at all. So let's just make one of them, which gives us a blacker lotus. What does that do? Apparently it's just got loads of mana inside it. So do we just throw it in here? Well, I can't plant it. I can't eat it. So chuck it in there. Has that just given us loads of mana? Can we get loads more of these now? Ooh. Yep, that had loads of mana in it. We've got 45 of these things. Do they have any other uses? I'm sure they do. But now we've got our mana steel mesh, we need to upgrade it to amethyst. And I believe we do actually have a budding amethyst. I'm pretty sure we found one in a chest in the nether. Question is, where would I have put it? There it is, budding amethyst. So I guess for now, it's probably going to make sense to put this over here as well. Hopefully we can move it in future if not. So let's just put that there, I guess. What in the world? That thing just came out of the amethyst. Ooh, endstone. So I guess we just kind of need to wait for the amethyst to grow because we need some shards before we can do anything else. And I guess while we wait for that, I might spend a bit of time over here in the garden, see if we can make this place look nice. Well, it might not be the fanciest garden in the world, but it's my garden and I love it. So if we just take a quick look, I've basically just made it a little bit messy. I've used frame drawers so we can actually blend in the drawers with the sort of walkway up to the pedestal. And then I've just gone for a bit of symmetry. So we've got mana pools in every corner. We've got all the mana generating flowers here and here. And I've left these spaces because my theory is there might actually be some other flowers that might be a little bit more useful than these ones, because these only generate mana when you're actually burning things. But this should do the trick for when we need stuff in future, at least that's the hope. And I've also got these pedestals off to each side, so I've got one there, and a third one over there, so I can still make living rock and living wood when I need to. Should I ever actually need to anymore, who knows? But that all looks good, apart from this, which is definitely in the wrong place. It is in the way, but we've managed to get ourselves 19 amethyst shards. I've been harvesting this as we've been sorting out the garden. It does actually seem to grow quite quick, which is nice. So we should now be able to make ourselves the amethyst mesh. Look at that. Oh, it's all purple and nice. And we still have this solitary crusher over here, so I guess we can just use that for now. But we need to put crushed netherrack in there. But we don't have any crushed netherrack, so we're going to need to make some of that as well. Feel like we might be a little bit cramped in here, so I'm actually going to go and move this somewhere else. I'm thinking maybe we can find a little bit of space over here. We only need something simple for now, just to get the netherite coming. We can always upgrade it later. And I reckon we can probably squeeze something in around here somewhere. There we go. We've just about managed to cram something in, and we're getting all these random things. I still don't really know what these triangles are. But the main thing we're after is the netherite scraps. So they've got a great big box. These ones have got void things on them, so once they fill up, they'll just, well, go into the void, I guess, any excess, so we don't need to worry about that. But it's very simple around here. We've just got some pedestals generating netherrack from these nether bricks, and that's going straight into these little crushers, and then, well, it's getting crushed, and then we're sifting through that, and that's giving us all these drops, and they go into these tunnels, which are then filtered into the right boxes. So a nice simple system, and that'll do for now. We may upgrade it at some point, but now we've got another big job to do. We need to make pink slime, and for that, we need to make a mob slaughter factory. And once again, I don't really know what I'm doing here. What is going on here? What am I wearing? What? Apparently I had an endermite statue on my face. So we need to make a mob slaughter factory to get pink slime, and apparently slaughtering passive mobs makes for better slime. Where can we possibly find passive mobs? Oh my days! Jeez, I mean, for once we do actually need some passive mobs. But Kind of need that island there for oil later because it's in an ocean and that's where we get oil from. So despite the sheer amount of pigs over there, I think what we might actually do is kind of remake our mob factory that we have in the bottom of the windmill. So I might actually go in there, steal all the delightful dirt, and build another building up here. Maybe put something around here somewhere. There's not a lot of space, is there? I've taken up too much space for me landing pads. But I reckon we can cram a small building in here and we'll put the mob slaughter factory in here, I guess. So it looks like we need to do a little bit more on the industrial foregoing quest chain. We kind of need sewers and breeders and all these sort of slaughtery type things. And this is what's going to get us over here to the advanced machine frame, which is where we're trying to get. So I'm going to make a bunch of components and see if we can figure this out. So I've made the mob slaughter factory, and what it does is it basically destroys any mobs within a range in front of it, which by default I think is just one block. Yep, so I have made a massive range tier. If we add that and have a look at that, look. So that will cover an absolutely massive area. We only need it to cover a 5x5 area, but that's good. That means we could probably make use of one of these islands, maybe? I wonder. Because what I'm thinking is we could just cover that island in delightful dirt and then put the mob thing down here maybe and just pump it straight up into some tanks. And then we haven't even got to put a building down. We can just get away maybe with a couple of storage tanks. Let's give that a go maybe. We just got to find the perfect position for the mob masher. Well, the mobs are disappearing, so I assume it's eating them. Yeah, look at that. We have loads of liquid meat and a tiny bit of pink slime. All right, so knowing this is going to work is good, but the problem is this stuff grows grass every now and then. So can we put something in to maybe flood the island every now and then? We have a tiny amount of space inside. We might be able to fit something in. So I think I've got it all worked out. We've got 2 timers, both set to 6,000 ticks, but this one should fire about 3 seconds before this one. So in theory, it should fire this dispenser twice, and that's just going to deploy a bucket of water and wash away all the bads, all this grass. That's what we don't want. Blah. And hopefully that's going to keep the slime coming in for us. But I appear to be very, very hungry, so I should probably go get some food before I kill myself. And then we'll get the rest of this build sorted and get the storage tanks in. And that was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. So we're all set up now. We have the meat going into this one, the slime going into this one, and of course our island over here, which it looks like it may have actually just been washed. I've had to adjust the shape a little bit just to make sure the water actually spreads out. And there we go. So now we have a clear thing and it should start spawning loads. Look at that. Beautiful work. So that was nice and simple. I enjoyed that, although it would be nice to have a record, I guess, of how much stuff is actually in there. But we also need to pipe this over here somewhere because we need to move on to step 5. And step 5 is making advanced machine frames. And for that, we need to use a dissolution chamber again, like we do with the normal machine frames. I forgot my stairs are on this side. Let's not talk about that. So we need to set up another one of these, but instead of latex, it wants to have pink slime pumped into it. So I guess we can probably just pump it underground to this spot here and have it sitting next to this one. That should be easy enough. And how's our netherite scraps doing? 506. Excellent. There we go. We now have pink slime feeding into a second chamber, and now we should be able to make the things that we need. And I think the recipe is 2 of those, and lastly 2 of those. Yep, that appears to be doing the thing. Let's see if we've got any speed upgrades. There we go. That should make it much faster. So if we just chuck those things in there, now that we've locked the recipe, that should just go ahead and make loads of these things for us. Good stuff. So step 5, that was nice and easy, wasn't it? And that brings us one step closer to getting oil. Not much left to do. And to be honest, I think step 6 is crafting the things that I need. Step 6 doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, does it? But step 6 should actually result in oil. We just need to make a couple of things first. So I have my fluid laser base, I have my drills, and I have some grey laser lenses, but I have no idea what to do with them. I do know, however, that if I want oil, I need to be in an ocean biome, and that's what we're going to use this island for. So I'm going to quickly read up on the laser drill, and I'll let you know what's going on in a moment. So I think I've got it set up correctly. However, there is a slight problem. Lukewarm ocean is not one of the biomes I can actually get oil in. I need to go to a normal warm ocean, and I think we've got one just over here. Look, just here. It's not too far away at all. So in theory, we might be able to get away with doing it on this island here if we make it a tiny bit bigger. Oh, look at that. We might not even need to make it bigger. We might just have to put the tiny oil rig over here. Let's move it across. Well, it's not pretty, but I've got it all linked up, and hopefully, yes, it's creating oil. A very, very small amount of oil. We need to get some more speed upgrades on this, but at least we know it's working. It's in the right place. We've just got to make this all look a little bit nicer because, well, I don't really want that cable going across. Wonder if there's wireless power. And I guess we're also going to need to transfer the liquid over to the other island somehow as well. So I guess pipes could look quite cool for that. Just really not a fan of these bright red things. Well, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it does the job. It's kind of like a tiny little oil rig jammed on that island. Hopefully I can improve that over time. But we have our oil all being pumped over, and that is now going into this vat over here. And not only that, I discovered we can have wireless power, so I built these things, energy transmitters, so I had to slightly expand my mechanical crafting table, but I built a couple of these, and they basically just send the rotational power wirelessly, and then inside that island we have an alternator to get FE power, and then we use the spinny power to power up the pipes. But this is good, we finally have oil coming in, and that means we're so close to being able to launch our rockets. And also in here I've just pulled through all the key information, so we have our oxygen, hydrogen, latex supplies, as well as slime, meat, which, to be honest with you, I have no idea what this is used for, and also, of course, our oil. And we'll have one up here for rocket fuel as well once we start processing that. But that is step 6 complete, which means we can get rid of the last of our signs, and we really have done a lot today, and I think that's where we're going to have to leave it. But next time, we'll get our rocket fuel, and hopefully, we'll go to the moon. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.